When measuring with measuring spoons, you want to make sure you have an accurate measurement and not just pour your liquid into your mixing bowl by accident. So you always make sure that you measure your liquid over top of another dish, so if it does drip, it won't ruin your food product. And then you can just have it placed and ready to go, and then put it into your main dish that you're mixing. When you're doing a dry measure, you want to make sure that you're leveling it off. If you just tap it, you're going to pack it, which makes more of the dry item being measured than you want. So you scoop it out lightly and level it off to get the appropriate amount. Once again, do this into another bowl and you'll be ready to add it to your final product. Okay, when you want to measure shortening for a baked product, you want to make sure you're measuring it accurately, because if you get too much, you're going to have a problem with your food texture. Now, one of the ways to do this is to make sure you pack it so you don't get any air bubbles and have a more accurate measurement. You can do the same thing as this with peanut butter or any other gooey type food product. Once you get it into the container, mash it down as much as you can and be sure to level it off. Okay, that is one method for doing shortening, to pack it. The next method that you can use if you choose is called water displacement method. Water displacement method requires a cup with cold water in it, because if you use warm water, the shortening will melt. And then your regular measuring cup is not going to be needed. You take your shortening and you put it into the cold water until the water moves up the amount that you want. I have 1 cup of water in there, and I want 1/3 cup of shortening. So you want to make sure it's not touching the sides, because that will give you an inaccurate measurement. You want it to be under the water. You look down at it eye level to see where you're at. And this is 1½ cups, so I need to take a little bit out. Check again, and I'm at 1 1/3 cups. So then you just remove your shortening that you just measured and put it into the food product you are cooking. Some people like this method better because it's not quite as sticky as this one is to clean up. The proper way to crack eggs for a food product is to tap the egg on the counter, because the outside of the egg actually has salmonella on it, so you don't want to get it into your bowl. Pull it apart with your thumb and let it fall out. You should get a properly cracked egg each time if you do it that way. But when you want to separate eggs, there's a couple different methods you can use. If you want to separate eggs, one method is just to crack the egg and go back and forth between the shells, being careful not to fall right on the edge of the white shell, because it will break the egg. And then just keep doing that till you get all the white out. Now if the egg breaks, you want to immediately put it over into your other bowl, and that's why you have what's called a 3-bowl method. You get rid of your third shell, and you pour your egg white into the bowl you're going to use, and you have your egg yolk separated and ready to be trashed or saved for another food product. Another method for the egg white separation is to use your hand. Crack the egg, pour it right into your hand, and let the egg white drip between your fingers. This is a little bit cold and slimy feeling, but it works extremely well, and you will almost never break your egg yolk doing this. But the only time you do is if your egg is too old and does not want to keep its shape. So once again, you would take your egg white, dump it in your third bowl so that you can begin the next egg, and that way you won't get any egg yolk into your white to ruin your food product. Okay, steps to make properly measuring flour are extremely important to follow so that you don't end up having a brick for a cookie or a hockey puck instead of a nice soft cookie. So if you measure your flour incorrectly, you will not be happy with the results. So there are several different methods, and I want to show you how to make sure that you can see the difference. So if you were to measure flour by sticking the cup down, tapping it on the side, smoothing it off, you are basically packing all the flour in there. One of the worst things to do is to pack flour. So we're going to go ahead and put it on the scale, and this weighs 9.8 ounces. Now the proper way to measure flour is to go ahead and lightly scoop the flour into the cup. Just lightly put it in there until you get it all the way to the top. Do not shake it, do not pound it, do not smack it on the side. Some people think the best way to level this off is to go like that on the edge, and that's the worst thing you can do because that actually packs it. So you go ahead and level it off, and we'll weigh it again. This time it is 7.5. It's a pretty big difference, and you can imagine how much of a difference that makes for your cookie results. Now the last kind of measuring for flour is when you sift it, and this is done for different recipes that you want super light, fluffy food. You just pour your flour into the sifter and you sift. The easiest way to do it is right over top of the measuring cup, because if you have the measuring cup directly under, you're not going to have to pack it at all to move it from one place to another. Now you do want to make sure you overflow it so that you can level it off properly. And then you weigh this one. And you have 4.7. So you can tell the difference between all of the flours for making sure you have a proper food product. If you were to sift it and then lay it in, you just do like you did on the scooping one before, and very gently put it in with a spoon and level it off. So if you can't sift directly over top the measuring cup, you can spoon it, but you will get a little bit more packing happening than if you do it directly over the measuring cup.